So I'm a filmmaker, I'm a videographer, I'm a content creator, I'm a wannabe animal photographer, and most importantly, I am a coffee drinker. And I'm making this video because I want to help you guys understand how you should be pricing yourself and your projects and negotiating with clients. In my last video, I was kind of focused more on a beginner, someone who is a few months into the game, into the industry. And it doesn't mean that what I'm going to talk about in this video won't be helpful to you guys if you're a beginner, in the same way that, if you're advanced, I bet you could probably pick up just a few tidbits from this as well. So let's just jump straight in. So let me just start with some transparency with my fees, because it will give us something to compare all of this to. So if someone, a client contacted me and said they just want to know what my rate was, I would send them a PDF of my fee list. So it goes a little something like this. My filming rate is £800 per day. I have a £500 half day rate, £150 hourly rate, and I discussed in the last video why it's £150. And then I also have an edit day rate of anywhere from £500 to £700. It just depends on the edit, depends how long it's going to take. It's extremely rare that when I'm speaking with a client that this sort of thing ever comes up, right? I go by a per project basis. It's not only easier for me, it's much easier for the client. It's a clean number that they can work with. You got to remember that a client and a brand or whoever you're speaking to is probably like the marketing director or the creative director or whoever it is. They've been given a budget and they just want to see if whatever your rate is going to match it. Hopefully it's going to be below it. They'll negotiate you to below it so they can look good for their bosses. It's pretty standard. But that is a lot easier than basically giving them the option of just trying to work out how much it could possibly be. Be as clear, as concise as you can be from the get-go. So let's just break down an example. So rather than saying to them, so my rate is £800 per day, so I think it's going to be a couple of days, and my edit day is 500, so I think it'll be like 3 edit days, potentially more, because I don't know how long it's going to take. There's also going to be kit hire on top of that, and there'll be just expenses and travel. They're going to be left there thinking, like, I don't know how much this is going to cost. Like, you've given them a rate, but you haven't given them the quote of the video that they want to have. On the flip side, if I say, look, this entire thing is going to cost £5,000, right? They're going to say, okay, well, my budget was 4,000, but let's just negotiate from there. But at least you've just given them a clean number they can work with. They don't care about how many days filming is going to take and how many days edits is going to take, as long as you get the video in before the due date. That's all they care about. You can sort out the nuances in the kit hire and all that sort of stuff. Like, you deal with that, just give them a number so they can work with it. So even though like quoting a per project basis is going to be more money, I've closed so many more jobs by giving a per project basis fee rather than just giving like my day rate. It's not even close. It's so much easier, and it makes sense. If you put yourself in their shoes, it's just way easier to deal with, because they're always going to have a budget, and they need to just, they need to be quick and move on. They need to know, are you too expensive or are you fine? That they just need to know that from the start. Just make their job as easy as possible. So Parker Welbeck has a really good quote on this, and he says, whoever gives the price first loses. So I don't like to think of it as winning and losing, but basically what he's just trying to say is, once the money is on the table, once the budget is there, you can't reasonably ask for more money, because that's like how much the budget is. But at the same time, a client can't like decrease the budget because you've already started to work and agree to do the job within that budget. If you can find out from the very beginning, or as earliest as possible, like what the budget is, then you can actually start breaking stuff down and seeing if it's going to work for you or if it's not. So if a client says, how much are you going to charge for this, or what is your rate, just reply and say, what is the budget? It might take some back and forth, and sometimes they're a bit reluctant to give the budget, or they'll say like, oh, we have a number in mind, like whatever it is. Be polite, but just get the number out of them. You do this not so you can be on the high ground and you can start making all these judgment calls, but it's just so you can be in a better negotiating position, and you can say, I can work with that, like this is a video I could produce with that amount of money. Or you can say, look, I can't make this incredible video for you where I travel all over the country, but I can make this sort of video, within that budget. And it's also possible that they might not actually know. So, especially if it's an individual or like a business owner, they could say, I don't really know, like I'm asking you because I kind of want to have an idea. That's not when you jump out and you say, yeah, well, it's going to cost 10 grand, because they just won't have that amount of money. But this is when you can say, okay, well, how much would you expect to pay, for a video like this? Or just like show them a YouTube video or whatever it is and say, like, how much would you expect to pay for something like that? And then you potentially can get a number, and then you can work with that number once you have it. So if a client tells you the budget and everything goes well and they say, yeah, look, we have a budget of £2,000, what can you do with it? Let's just pretend this is a local coffee house, and for that sort of money, it's probably just going to be me filming and editing. So this is what I would provide them with within that budget. So I'll provide them with a 90-second video, which will be more for, website, for YouTube, IGTV, that sort of like a longer form content. And that will have, that's like the standard like interview with B-roll, promotional stuff, as exciting as possible. I would also kind of over deliver and give them 1, 2, maybe even 3 30-second sort of promo pieces for their socials. Now they might actually request, that's kind of what they want, which is fine. You can find another way to over deliver, give them Instagram stories, give them TikTok content. There's so much stuff that you could do, but I'd always just try and find a way to over deliver, just to show that they're getting a lot more value out of the money that they're paying you. I'll give them a timeline turnaround of 7 to 10 days. And on top of that, I would probably say they can have one major revision and then one minor revision. Major revision being, a change of music or completely change color grade. A minor one would just be, taking out a clip, something like that. I would require a 25% deposit paid up front, and that would be, preferably a week before. If it's a huge job, it might be even 50%, and that's so I can cover stuff like kit hire and having to pay people in advance to make the shoot happen. And for all of this, because of the amount of money being paid, a contract will be written up, and it will say everything that I've just said. It will have what they're going to be getting, and it will lay out things like the revisions and that sort of stuff. Once you've given them the final cut, you've delivered on what you believe is your best work. There's no surprises that comes from that, right? Like they could be changing their minds later on, but if everything's in writing, where the due date is, everything's there, there's no surprises, it's going to be simple stuff. But on the flip side, if it's a quick shoot, if it's under £500 or whatever it might be, like I won't be bothering. I have stuff in email. There's going to be a certain level of trust there. It's probably going to be something quite quick. I'm just, hope everything goes okay. But for bigger projects, I really recommend just having a contract down. It just protects both of you. So that's what they would get as a kind of a baseline. And then I would try through the negotiations to upsell them just different things that I offer. So for example, a script with a voiceover. So you're not a marketing agency, so you're going to have to get the script done, but you're going to need to know things, specific things about their business that only they could know. So if they don't know anything and they just want a voiceover, you should probably be charging them a bit more to basically have someone do a lot of research into their business and then write the script and then get a voiceover done. Things like drone shots, if the opportunity is there, I'm always going to use a drone if it works for the video, but there might be certain places where you might need a permit and you might need to pay a fee. So if that is the case, you can offer it, but just say there's going to be a fee involved. Raw footage. So it's quite common that especially like startups, they might want the raw footage just so they can bank content. This is completely fine, but I would charge, which is an industry standard. So it's not me just trying to get a few more pennies. Like the potential of them being able to rehash content in the future means that it's going to be less work for you. So if they want to have all the raw footage, that's completely fine, but I'm going to charge anywhere from £500 to £1,000. And again, that's not to make them hesitant. It's just, that's my work that you're taking away from me. And you need to remember that all the work that you shoot with your camera belongs to you. So you're producing the video, you're not filming for them. Anything like a fast turnaround. So this one is, if you film on like a Thursday and they want the video by Monday, you're going to be working overtime, you're going to be working on the weekend. That's fine, but you're going to be charging more. So for me, I would charge that as 1.5 times my day rate. If it's overtime, and I'm talking like, I don't mind doing a few more hours, but if I'm working past midnight, that sort of stuff to get something rushed, I'm going to be doubling my day rate. It's as simple as that. This is a career, this is a normal job. You wouldn't expect this from any other sort of service or company to be working past hours. And if you do, they will charge as well. It's an industry standard. It's not something like I'm just trying to get more money. You need to be happy at the end of the day. If you're going to be working overtime and you're going to be putting in your extra hours, then you need to be compensated for it. I would definitely do extra revisions for free because I want the video to be as good as possible, because at the end of the day, if I don't do them now, I might end up just doing them myself anyway later on for my portfolio. But I'm talking about stuff where you have the feeling like they're kind of changing their minds and they're saying, like, they're either showing it to friends and family who are noticing different stuff that they didn't think about. And if that doesn't come back through the first sort of round of revisions, I'm going to start charging for it, because it's going to become like a cat and mouse game where they're going to be constantly reviewing it. And if you feel like you've you've delivered on the job, like that's it, you're done at that point. If they keep changing your mind, that's totally fine, but you're going to be working, so you should charge for it. So one thing that I do as well is I offer like marketing and distribution consultancy. So I don't consider myself an expert, but there's absolutely things that I know in terms of Facebook ads and distributing on different social medias and how you should approach Facebook versus Instagram, etc. This is a business investment for them. They want to have results from whatever you're making. So if you're making a video or a photo, that's the creative part. But if you can help build up the campaign as a whole, like the audiences who they should be targeting and the demographics and the age ranges, all that sort of thing, if you can help them with that, then that's great. And I would charge for it. However, if it's very simple tips and you're like showing them how to set up Facebook marketing, I'm not going to be charging for them. But if it's anything very contextual and specific and something where a social media agency would charge for, you can charge for it too. It's little things like these where it can turn a £2,000 project into a £4,000 project. Most of the time, look, they have a budget of £2,000. They want a video from you and then that's it. Like they want to deal with everything else and they already have the budget of £2,000. Like they're not going to start spending more money. However, if you have a feeling that a client is more flexible, then work with them and just see what happens. It could just be that for this time it's just a video, but next time they want to have you for a consultancy, or next time they want to have the raw files or whatever it might be. But at least offer it as part of a package. So I want to move on from this and I want to talk about if a budget is too low or if your price is too high and what you should do and how you should negotiate from there. So look, let's have same company, same client, but they say their budget is £1,500, but you know that your rate, your fee for this project is £2,000. So let's say that you've told them the rate of £2,000 and they've come back with £1,500. The negotiations have started. So you can either stand firm on it or maybe meet them in the middle if it suits you. But as much as possible, the reputation means everything. And I would be standing by and standing very firm on what your rate is, because that's what you're worth. You've probably come up with that number, hopefully, because you've broken it down in your head. Like that is how much it's going to cost. So don't devalue yourself at this point in time. However, if they've come to you first and told you they have a budget of $1,500, but you've broken down the video to cost $2,000, then you need to tell them. You need to tell them like, look, this is £500 under my rate. I'm happy to do this because X, or you need to meet me in the middle because, or no, I need to stand firm at £2,000 because that is how much it's going to cost to make this video as good as it can be, and that's my rate. You have to remember that they contacted you. So before you back down, you need to think there's a reason that they did that, either through reputation or they liked what they saw or whatever. You need to remind them that this is an investment. This is a business investment. This is about me making a video to produce results for your business, be that more products being sold, more people walking through the door, whatever it is. This is a business investment and every business has to invest. If they don't see that there's any value in what you're producing, you just have to tell them that there's no value in making the video at all. It sounds harsh and it sounds blunt and it sounds ridiculous in an age where you might need the money, but the conversation always has to go on to results. I also wouldn't start justifying the cost, and what I mean by that is I wouldn't start saying about all the cameras you're going to be using and the effects you're going to be using and the music that they don't care about any of that. They just care about getting a video from you so then they can go ahead with their campaign, right? And they're also going to trivialize what you do. They're going to say like, oh, well, surely it can only take one day at it because you're only going to be doing this, and they're always going to make it seem way easier than it is and way less stressful. Steer the conversation and pivot away from that as soon as possible, and let's talk about business. If they're being genuine in their price and they're saying like they don't have the funds to pay you at the moment, that's totally fine. That's up to you to then say, thanks, but no thanks. But what I would do and what I have done is I've said like, I'm more than willing to help you find somebody who will work under that budget. That's not making me sound like, oh, I'm just too good for you. I'm trying to actually just help another fellow filmmaker, right? Like if I know someone who is more than happy to work within that budget, I'm going to try and help them because they might help me at one point. And it's just like, it's a big thing about karma, right? What I'm not going to do is say like, no, thanks, leave you to it, because there's a business relationship there. You never know, like they might do the video, someone else might do the video, but they know and they see you as, oh, well, he's a person, like he costs too much for us at the moment, but when we grow, we should get him because he knows what's up. Like his quality work's really good. Again, they contacted you, so they were obviously impressed by you from the start. Be it if you close a job or you don't, try and build a relationship every time, and it's just a perfect way of networking. You could also propose to work within the budget plus some compensation or commission. So for example, let's say a restaurant wants 5 more tables per month. You could say, okay, well, for every extra table that you get, I want to have the commission on that per month, and I want that for 3 months or whatever it might be. It shows not only that you're serious, but it shows like it gives them the option of, well, maybe the £2,000 is a better option than the 1,500 that I'm giving. Or they would say, God, this guy like really thinks his video is going to produce for us. I think that's quite a good idea. So I'm more than happy to give him commission because he's going to have to make a really good video. Otherwise, he's not going to get any commission. If it's for an apparel brand, you could say, yeah, I'll work for 1,500, but I would like, you know, whatever new line of clothing that's in or whatever that might be. There's always ways you can kind of negotiate some other forms of compensation. Again, this is completely up to you, but there will come a time where there's only so much Nike stuff that you can wear before bills have to start being paid. You know, like rent can't be paid with clothing. So you could do this up to a point, but don't make a habit out of this. You could also start kind of thinking inwards and start thinking, well, okay, well, this could be a half-day shoot rather than a full-day shoot. This can be edited in 1 day rather than 2. Maybe I don't need an assistant this time. Maybe I only need 1 camera, whatever it might be, to start working under that budget to seem more practical. I would always try and make the video as best as possible, and I would use as much kit as I can. You can start to think, okay, well, you know, I'm going to work less. You know, I'm going to edit less. I don't need to do X, Y, Z. So you can make the video really good, but not like crazy next level just because it hasn't hit the budget. But to be honest, for like something like a £500 difference, I'm probably going to make it as good as it can be anyway. As I mentioned in the previous video, you could say, look, I'm happy to do 1,500 this time if you can get in writing that there's going to be more work down the line and I want to be paid my full rate, right? If they're confident and they're serious, they might agree to this. If they're not, they might just pay the 2,000 upfront now, or nothing would happen. But at least you put it out on the table. Kind of similar to working for free. You can work within the budget, but you should negotiate having complete creative control over the project. So you should see this as a portfolio opportunity. Things that you wanted to try, you could try in this shoot. First of all, they're probably going to say yes because it's a lot less work for them to do. Because if you're going to be the person coming up with all the creative, like they're going to sit back and think, oh, fine, like we just have to pay him. You know, we're paying him how much we want to pay him. Plus, he's doing more work than us. But on your side, this is the opportunity to, you know, expand on your portfolio and do things which you're potentially missing from your showreel. And that leads me on to my next point, which is protecting your enthusiasm is by far the most important thing. If you accept £1,500 as a budget, or you accept whatever the budget is and it's less than your normal rate, that's on you. Like you've accepted that now. Forget about how much you usually charged. They're going to expect the best of the best. Any issues that happen, you know, any stress that occurs, all of that is on you. You've accepted this amount of money. You need to be as happy as possible and you need to make the best video that you can. The only way you can do that is just to be happy with how much you're getting compensated for it. From saying all of this, the most important thing is just not to give in. Your reputation and your legacy is way more important than whatever shoot you're going to be doing. And what you don't want to happen is you get into a situation where you start meeting lower budgets every single time. And this coffee house, as the example, tells like their friend who works for another startup, and you know, you best believe they're going to tell them how much they paid you. So then they're going to contact you and say, oh, I want this video done, like our budget's 1,500, because they know like you agreed to them. So you agreed to them, why aren't you agreeing to us? And it becomes like a cycle. You don't want to have that. Also, if you haven't even discussed with them about future work, when future work does come from the client, you can't expect them to pay any more than they did, because even though you said, oh, well, I cost 2,000 and you pay me 1,500, they're going to say like, yeah, but you know, you did it for 1,500. Why can't you just do it for 1,500 again? So this is why you don't want to back down unless there's like a good reason to do so. You're not missing out on 1,500. You know, if you say no to 2,000, you're not missing out on 2,000. You didn't have the money in the first place. Like you not closing, it sucks, but you haven't lost £1,500. You haven't lost whatever the budget is. It's just the negotiation didn't go through. In the same way, like everything can be going fine and then they cancel. You know, you haven't lost any money. So don't think of it in terms of feeling the pressure that you have to accept because, you know, they're offering you money and it's on the table. It's not on the table. You still got work to do. Once the contract is there and the contract's signed, it's under budget, but the contract has been signed, give it your all. Go all in, over deliver, build the reputation, build a network with that business. You want to be known as like, this guy absolutely killed it. He came in, he actually cost like this amount of money, but we paid him less, and yet he still delivered amazing work, and he delivered more than we could have expected. So you need to have the parameters clear from the start. And if you're not happy, just say it straight up that you're not happy with the budget, you don't want to go through, you're too busy, whatever it is. Don't do it, because again, your enthusiasm is your reputation. They're still going to think, well, we're giving you a lot of money. Like, why are you like stomping around? Why are you moody? Why is the video not very good? It's lackluster. Then it's like, you can't even use that video in your portfolio because it sucks. Like, all that sort of stuff. It's not worth it. It's just not worth any of the hassle. So if your enthusiasm isn't there, leave it alone. This also goes for other things. So for example, let's say your usage agreed was for social media, website, and Instagram, so, whatever it is. They post it, that's fine. They tag you, again, that's fine. But then there's people who are who featured in the video, they somehow got it, and then they post it on their socials. Don't go like contacting them saying like, oh, our usage was agreed that only you'll be posting it. Like, don't tarnish those little petty things. They don't know about usage. They don't know about any of that stuff. Like, let it go. Just be thankful and grateful that people are seeing your video, that it's getting out there, that people are excited to share it. Don't get caught up in the little things, because burning those bridges now is just a complete waste of time. It might seem overwhelming at first, but it's critical to know this now and to have this understanding. So existing clients aren't going to be paying you any more money. It's, I talked about this briefly in the past video, but there's an expectation there, and they have a budget in their mind of how much you charge and how much videos cost from you. But new clients don't know that. This is why you have to stand firm against your new prices with new clients. And with existing ones, you are rewarding them by keeping with your prices. Remember, you have this loyalty, trust, and efficiency with these existing customers. You know how they work. You know the sort of videos that they want. You might already have a color grading involved. There's all this sort of stuff where it doesn't matter about increasing your price with them. However, with new clients, they don't know any of that. So this is the opportunity to increase your prices and increase your budgets and just kind of test the waters. So that's it for this video. In the next video, I'm going to talk more about bigger budget shoots. So I'm talking like 5, 10, 20K shoots, and I'm just going to give a straight up breakdown of those costs and how I would be charging clients with that sort of money. What I'm not going to be doing is telling you how to land those sort of jobs, because if you're advanced, they're probably coming to you, or you're pitching as part of an agency. It's very rare that you DM a brand and you're locking down a 20K shoot. It's just, it just doesn't happen that way. But I will just be breaking down the pricing structure for you guys. So, stay tuned for that. But until then, guys, again, just be sensible out there, stay safe, stay at home if you can, wear a mask, and I'll see you in the next one.